When we first came out here and made a video about this park, we showed you how we bought the park with Creative Finance, how much money it was making, and you guys called me out in the comments, so we came back for video number 2. Now, in this video, we're gonna be talking about how this park, yes, makes a lot of money, but how an entrepreneur like me in real time is going to discover all the hidden gems and the ways that we can amplify the cash flow in this park, $1.7 million per year. Most people would have bought this park and lived on the $30,000 of net cash flow it produces every single month. But what if I told you that an ordinary investor just like you could take the same exact dirt and instead of living on $30,000 a month, which is life-changing money, don't get me wrong, but you could amplify this exact park and make $200,000 every single month. That's not life-changing money, that's legacy building money. And in this video, we're gonna show you exactly how. Phase number 1, I buy the park not because of what I can do to it. I buy the park because what it currently produces in revenue today. I do not buy parks because I can expand. I buy parks because it makes money on day one. There is not one day that we couldn't make money on this park, not one day. If I'm a level 1 investor, meaning I'm buying this to quit my job, I'm gonna live on half the money. So let's go through the math on this. There's 80 pads, $600 a month, that's $48,000 a month, plus the miscellaneous $17,000 that's coming in with awnings and other miscellaneous things. This park brings in like $60,000 a month. So it's 720 grand a year. So out of $60,000, I can basically take home basically $20,000 to $25,000 a month on this park. Day one, this is a $20,000 to $25,000 net. That's my private money lenders are being paid their return. That's my mortgage with the seller. That's my taxes, my insurance, my payroll, every single software you can imagine. That is net income, not net operating income. That is net in my pocket income. Let's say $20,000. Let's be very conservative. $20,000 a month coming in. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna live on 10, and then I'm gonna take 10 and reinvest it into the park. So my first phase would be every other month, I'm going to do 3 awnings. Okay, so in 1 year, I'm gonna be able to do 18 awnings. Okay, so in year number 1, I'm gonna take half that money, build the awnings, do 18 of those. That now has added $3,600 a month. So let's do the math again. Are we following me? I'm gonna go invest 18 awnings times $6,000. My investment's $108,000 in my first year. So I'm basically taking 11 months of the 10,000 that's going into redeployment, and I'm doing all awnings. That's year 1, that's year 2, that's year 3. Now, what have I just done? I've now added 36 more awnings in this park over 3 years. Okay, that cost me in 3 years $324,000. Now I invested $324,000. Where did that money come from? My profit. Did I have to raise the money? No. Did I have to borrow the money? Nope. Did I put it on a credit card? Nope. No, the park paid for it. Now, I'm not gonna do a dog park at all until I'm done with that first phase, which is now I have 36 more awnings. So I'll do 36 times 200. So that brings in now, every single year, an extra $72,000 a year in revenue just from the awnings. That's $6,000 a month. So now I'm making $26,000 a month. That's assuming I didn't raise rents. That's assuming I did nothing else to the park. That's assuming nothing. Now my net is going from 20 grand a month to $26,000 a month. Okay, cool. So now after 3 years, what am I now going to do? I'm probably going to start paying myself $16,000 a month and keep the $10,000 going back into the park. Does this make sense? So now I've just started paying myself an extra $6,000. Pace, great job. You did an awesome job. You're now netting in your pocket $16,000. You're taking 10 grand and you're putting it back into the park, okay? What I would then do is I would wait 8 months and I would take the 8 months of $10,000 and I would go do 12 pads. So $80,000 is going to pay for my septic, my electrical, my dirt, my clearing, my permits, everything on 12 pads. And I'm gonna put those 12 pads over there. I save the money for 8 months. Yep. It takes me 3 months to develop, so it's 1 year. So I can do 12 pads a year, okay? This is, again, assuming that I'm just taking money out of the park and redeploying. For that $80,000 investment, we know where that money came from. Just wanna be very clear, because everybody's like, everybody in the comments on YouTube, they always say, well, where did the money come from? Dude, I've said it 7 times. If you are not paying attention, if the editors cut this out. So $80,000, I saved that money for 8 months. I then gave the $80,000 to a contractor. The contractor went and built 12 pads. That includes septic, permit, electrical, dirt, everything included. That will bring in $600 times 12, dude, that's $7,200 extra per month. In fact, that's a better investment than the awnings. A lot of people will say, how do I scale a business? Is to get more customers? No, the way you scale a business is keep the customers you have and then grow beyond that. So I would make the decision to deploy my money into the awnings first, even though the ROI will be better on paper for the pads. Number one, level one investors. These are the types of investors that typically become tired landlords, okay? So these people, what they end up doing is they buy an RV park, they live in that RV park, and they end up staying there for 20, 30 years. What they're doing is they do not expand the park. They take out every last dollar, they live their lifestyle, and they retire from their job. I actually have a lot of students that do this. Okay, I have a lot of students that say, Pace, I joined Sub 2 primarily to learn how to find, negotiate, and get creative finance on RV parks so I can quit my job. And some of them are happy because they're making $30K a month. And they live off that $30,000 and they extract every dollar out of that RV park, and they're not looking to improve, make it more efficient, or maybe move on to a second park. That's a level one investor, the extracting cash investor. Okay, they only fix what breaks, they make no meaningful improvement, and they do not expand the capacity of that park. Either A, because the park doesn't allow them to, maybe it's confined for geographical reasons, or two, they just decide, I don't want to expand this park, I'm making enough money cash flow that I don't need to do anything. Now, what they do is they focus on taking distributions. They are more a lifestyle investor. They go, man, I was making 10 grand a month between me and my wife's jobs combined. We went and bought this RV park and now we're making $30,000 a month. Oh my gosh, this is 3 times what I was making before. And I don't have a living expense because now I live at the park. Okay. This is the RV park seller from Beargrass. These owners were making $600,000 a year on Beargrass in literally only 6 months out of the year. They lived in the lodge, so they had no housing expenses. The business covered all of those things for them. And so when they sold the business to me, I took over the business on Beargrass because they were like, we're done. We don't want to retire, or we don't want to work ever again. They're very much lifestyle investors. You buy one park, you live at the park, you take out all the cash, and you basically sock it away for a rainy day. You end up selling that RV park and you never go to own a second, a third, or a fourth. All right. Now, level 2 investor, I would say that most people are trying to become level 2 investors. Most people are trying to be more like a level 2 by saying, you know what, I'm going to buy one park. This is how I started out, was being a level 2 investor. I want to buy a park. I want to take a little bit of income, but I want to take most of my money from this park, and I want to start investing into a second park or paying off my private money lender. So this is me, right? I'm between 2 and 3. Sometimes I'm 3, but I started out as 2. I never started out as 1 saying I'm going to be 1 and done. Okay, think of a level 1 investor as a 1 and done investor. You buy one HVAC company, you buy one plumbing company, you buy one landscape company, and that's all the income you ever need for your entire life. Level 2 is somebody who says, I want to build an empire, but I want to quit my job also simultaneously. I want to replace my income and I want to live within my means or below my means, so this park not only pays my bills, but it also puts money into my next acquisition. So what they do is they take roughly half of the profits, okay, they reinvest the other half in either paying off the debts, or they take that other half and they put it into an allocation fund where they go and allocate and acquire more parks. Okay, some of them will start with improvements that strengthen the existing business. And because this park has already a big waiting list, like the one in Big Spring that we went through, we're going to prioritize expanding the park rather than making the existing park efficient because it already has a waiting list, right? Cool. So what we're doing on this park, as an example, is we're installing the awnings on existing pads. Makes sense, right? We're going to amplify revenue. I'm going to take some of the cash that comes in, I'm going to add the awnings, but we're going to install awnings on existing sites. Then we're going to add the first 12 RV pads. Those are going to turn into tiny homes. And then we'll continue to add more and more and more as the revenue compounds. You're obviously watching this video because you love RV parks. So do I. In fact, RV parks are cool. You should go to rvparksarecool.com. Here's why. For 5 days in a row, I'm going to South Dakota, Dallas, Louisiana, Phoenix, and then Reno, Nevada to show you 5 new people, brand new, just like you, how they bought their first RV park using creative finance, which is what I specialize in and what our community teaches. And we're gonna go there in person and live stream each one of those 5 days and show you guys the story, but more importantly, give you the steps every single day. So 5 days of homework, 5 days of accountability, a 5-day sprint. I'm gonna go to 5 freaking cities. Go to rvparksarecool.com. We'll put a link in the description down below. I want you guys to join us August 9th through August 13th, rvparksarecool.com. Come and join us for 5 days as we sprint through and get you guys momentum in buying your first RV park. Now here, out in this area, you can see we'll have a row of tiny homes that are probably 20 tiny homes all the way down here. And then we'll have a road that goes between that and then another set back here. So you have 20, a road, and then another 20, right? So why am I jumping here first? Nobody's gonna be bothered by me doing this. Then also this puts a completely different energy over here, all the tiny homes. The way this is mapped out is that you've got the RV pads over here, you've got the tiny homes over here. So it kind of creates it's like two different parks, right? Two different energies, right? So you're not mixing the energies right away. Then what we'll do is you got to have people working and all that kind of stuff. You don't want people climbing all over your RV. So the thought is, okay, that's doable and it's definitely good for a level 1 or level 2 investor. For level 3, it's like, I'm not going to chase that smaller revenue. I'm going to chase the bigger revenue. Here's the difference in mindset too, right? The mindset is these 40 pads, if I'm renting them out to RVs, what's this land worth revenue wise if I'm doing only RVs? It's 40 times 600. It's 24 grand a month. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that if I'm a level 2 investor. But if I have the resources of the community, which you do, I'll finance your tiny homes. I will 100% finance your tiny homes. I'll help you design them. I'll help you ship them. I'll finance them 100%. And I'll even do 1 or 2 months of no payment so you can get money coming in. Like I'm the greatest resource on the planet. I have the ability to get tiny homes here. And so I'm gonna go bite off a big chunk of the apple. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go invest. I'm not investing $5 million, am I? I'm finding access to $5 million to finance this part of the park at $5 million. But if I have 40 tiny homes here, 40 pads right here, just RV pads, 40 of them is 24,000. How much are the tiny homes in comparison in revenue? It's $144,000 in revenue a month for the same land value, but a newbie will still not do it. I think it's easier to manage an RV park than it is to manage one single family home. If I'm a brand new investor, I'm not buying a park with a problem. If I'm a level 3 investor like me, I can. Somebody that just says, you know what, I don't need a single dollar from these parks. I want to maximize my investment, okay? And this is a zone I'm entering into right now, is that the majority of my parks, I'll give you a good example. So I've got a park in Montana that is Glacier Peaks. That makes about $300,000 a year. I've got one called Mountain View in Montana that's about $200,000 a year. I've got another one in Beargrass in Montana that makes $200,000 a year. And then let's say Big Springs currently is making about $20,000 a month, so that's $240,000 a year. The other Big Springs is another $150,000 a year. Just between these 5 parks, we are $1,050,000 a year. Okay, I don't need all of that capital, right? So I'm gonna take some of that money, pay payrolls, I'm gonna pay some of my lifestyle, and then I'm gonna take a good portion of that $1 million and allocate that towards expanding the parks and making this number go up, all right? Now, at some point in the next year or 2 years, I will literally not need a dollar from any of my parks to expand because my parks will no longer need to pay me. I will not need any of it. I will only allocate it to future expenses. Now, what ends up happening is the level 3 investor and the level 2 investor end up buying most of their parks from level 1 investor. Really interesting stat, okay? 98% of all RV parks in the country are owned by individual mom and pop owners, and over 95% of them own less than 3, okay? So think about that. Most of the investors in the RV park space are unsophisticated. Doesn't mean they're not intelligent people. Doesn't mean they're not smart. I'm saying sophisticated in the sense of delegation, big empire, growing, 30, 40, 50 RV parks and having a CEO and a COO and an office and a unique brand, right? There's really only a handful of them. And most of them own less than 3. In fact, the amount of them that only own 1 is close to 90%. So think about that. Most investors in the RV park space are level 1 investors, which is a great opportunity for you because right now we are entering into and are currently in the middle of a silver tsunami. All of these boomers are retiring. If you're a boomer and you're upset by me calling you a boomer, I would love to be called a boomer. That's a freaking dope name. But boomers are retiring right now. Beargrass is a really great example of a park that makes $600,000 a year in 6 months a year for the prior owner. And the owner says, we are selling because we want to retire. My belief was like, retire from what? You're really not working more than a couple of months a year. I would keep this park. It just doesn't make any sense. I would actually go buy a second, a third, a fourth, and build a team to run those as I continue to acquire them. Most people don't want to be me. They want to be level 1 investors. So I'm curious, are you a level 1, are you a level 2, or are you a level 3 investor? Most of my students start out as a level 1. They expand and they grow and they go, man, I have the capacity to go get a second, a third RV park, and they graduate to a level 2, and hopefully most of them graduate to a level 3. Because the more you own, the more you can hire. The more you hire, the more legacy you can leave behind. So my friends, if you want to watch the first Big Spring, Texas RV park walkthrough, how we found it, what it makes, all of those types of things, I'm going to give you guys a link to that video down below. And if you guys want the profit and loss statement to prove that we are actually making the money we make on this Big Spring, Texas deal, I will put that in a link in the description down below. I will give you my 2025 to 2026 profit and loss statement on the Big Spring Park, Texas deal. I feel like I shouldn't, because when I don't show proof, people talk crap in the comments and then we get way more views. When I show proof, people are like, oh crap, there's nothing to talk trash about, and then we get less views. So you know what? If you don't believe me that we make this kind of money, make a hateful comment in the comments. We need this video to go viral, and your disgusting, vile attitude is what makes it go viral. So please make a nasty comment down below, and maybe I'll follow up and do a whole P&L breakdown as like a part 3 to all of this. So if you're a hateful person, please make a comment down below. We'll see you in another video.